Hi, Eric Lenask here at WebRTC Conference and Expo 5. We're here in San Jose, California. I'm talking now with Costin Tuculescu. He's from Anymeeting. Costin, thanks for joining me.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having us.
So, tell me, first of all, who is Anymeeting? What do you do?
Sure. So Anymeeting is a web conferencing, video conferencing, and webinar platform specifically built for small businesses. We focus on simplicity, ease of use, and value. We have a full-featured free product that gives our small business customer phone conferencing, video conferencing, and webinar capabilities. And then they can add more features by going pro. And we've also just recently rolled out the capability of giving it to your entire company. So if you're, let's say, a company of 20, 30 employees, you can now very affordably get Anymeeting for your entire sales team, your marketing team, provision it very easily. So we're out there with a very simple-to-use web conferencing platform.
So it seems like an ideal WebRTC implementation.
Absolutely. And yeah, we've been big fans of WebRTC since it's been stable in Chrome for about 1.5 years now. We've implemented it since then, and we've seen a nice raise in audio quality, performance on the web. One of our big differentiators is that we don't require downloads or installs from attendees. So if you're holding a webinar or a web conference, they just log right in through their browser. Because of WebRTC now, we're able to get the best-of-breed echo cancellation, the best codec for our Chrome users, and their audio experience has just gone through the roof.
What if any, deterrent customer-wise has the lack of support from Apple and Microsoft had?
Well, it's made it tough for us to really get fully on board with WebRTC, even though we've done everything we can with Chrome. We still do support all those browsers through a Flash fallback, so it really hasn't impacted our customer experience very much. But WebRTC audio technology is superior to Flash, so we would love to see Microsoft, Apple get on board so we can give them all that benefit.
Now, will there be an impact on how you're able to deliver, what you're able to deliver, and maybe more importantly, are there any cost factors involved by finally getting everybody on board with WebRTC?
Definitely on our cost side of not having to maintain different code bases with fallback for WebRTC and Flash, all that. Also having to maintain our infrastructure that supports both. That'll be very nice as a service provider. I think end users won't really notice. It's just, hey, I can hear the other person. It sounds great. So, on their side, it doesn't impact them. But service providers, it makes a big difference.
So you raise an interesting point with WebRTC. We talk with a lot of vendors, with service providers, infrastructure providers, talking really about WebRTC adoption. But you raise an interesting point. To the end user, it doesn't matter. It's simply a case of giving them the ability to connect with whomever they need to.
Yeah, and in the ideal case, all this technology that we are so into is completely invisible to the end user. And ideally, it just works for them, right? Right now, we jump through a bunch of hoops in the browser because we don't have that browser parity. I do see web conferencing as WebRTC is getting a big lift when we get Microsoft and Apple on board. And it sounds like in the last few days there's been some movement on that, so it's very exciting. But yeah, end users is just got to work, and that's what we do. We make sure it does work for them.
So there are obviously some other fairly recognized conferencing services, WebExes and others out there. Right. How do you compete with those?
Well, we've been browser-based from the get-go for years now. We are seeing them go browser-based. But interestingly enough, they haven't built out the full browser capability. So, for example, you'll have some WebRTC implementations, but they haven't made it work in IE. And so you lose the entire enterprise market there. So, you can't tell people, oh, you have to use Chrome, right? And we're seeing some of the larger players make those attempts, but I think they won't be fruitful until they support every single browser, which is kind of WebRTC's issue of adoption. But once it's there, I do see everybody really adopting that. I mean, everybody spends 90% of their day in the browser. Having all your communication there will be huge. And I really do see WebRTC blossoming once we get all the browser manufacturers on board.
And does that same scenario then apply for the mobile market, where you've got Apple with a tremendous market share of the browser?
I think so. Although everybody understands that on mobile, it's all about the app, not so much the browser experience. The browser experience, you click on a link, you read an article, you move on. But if you really want to nail it, it's all about native. And we already have that. There's a number of vendors that provide native apps with WebRTC. So it's not as big of a component. I really think what's been holding WebRTC back as an industry has been the lack of ubiquitous browser support. It's been solved natively. So, yeah, the browser. We got to get the browser.
So you're absolutely right that we've all become, we live in an app-centric economy. And for the most part, we have no problem going to whatever app store or facsimile thereof to download the apps that we need.
Sure, especially on mobile.
Right, on mobile in particular. But the premise of WebRTC is really that it's as simple as just clicking on a link. So isn't that the experience that's really going to help make that use case? Is I text you a link or I email you a link, and I don't have to worry about having that app.
Yeah, well, if you're simply describing the call, like me calling you, me communicating with you, there's so many solutions out there that already do that, Skype in particular, that I don't see WebRTC as making a dent in that use case. But if you want to provide, let's say, a CRM application or a customer service that seems to be the killer app application, now you're able to integrate that into your website or your apps or whatever. That'll be really impacting, also preserving the context of the customer experience. So, I still see, for example, Amazon, they built their own apps and they have WebRTC inside of them for the Mayday feature. So big players, they still have their own apps on mobile that embed WebRTC. Less of an issue in the mobile browser, but definitely on the web browser on your desktop, having that in-app experience will be huge.
How far do you think WebRTC can go, talking 5 or 10 years from today? How ubiquitous is it going to be?
I think if we nail the codec issues and all the browsers implement it wholeheartedly, it'll be kind of the de facto standard for all communication digitally. And, there may still be PSTN that routes in, but it'll be huge. It'll be just about everywhere.
Excellent. And one last question. If people want to see more about what your service is all about, where can they go?
Sure. So go check out Anymeeting.com, sign up for a free account, and check out the easiest web conferencing app out there.
What does the free account give you?
Meet with up to 200 attendees, so you can host small meetings or large webinars for free. You're able to have video with up to 6 people on the screen at the same time. You get a free conference calling service, so you can, you don't even need to be on the web. You've got a conference calling bridge that supports up to 200 callers. So it's just about the most full-featured, packed service you can get for free out there. So, Anymeeting.com.
Excellent, Costin. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for being here at the show.